and she tells me I have cancer.
All right, we are recording. Let me click exit out of this. Okay. Hey, Hannah, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you doing today?
I'm doing all right. I wanted to thank you for taking the time to contribute to, your experience overcoming trauma at a early age. I know that what you mentioned of what you went through is not a walk in the park for anybody, let alone being that young.
Yeah,
So,
certainly.
so thank you. I appreciate you being vulnerable here.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm really excited.
Yeah, thanks. I'm me too. I'm a little, a little nervous, but let's get the
I
show on.
know. Yeah.
All right. So first off, if you want to lead the way and talk a little bit about, who you are. Your name is Hannah, but how old are you? What happened, as much as you're willing to share, and around what age did all of that start to unravel for you?
Yeah. So, my name is Hannah Garcia. I am 27 and I'm from the greater Portland area out in Maine. Um, I, I'm a pet mom. I've got two cats and one little dog, and I recently got married to my wife, Kaylin.
Okay.
And yeah, so I mean, we can just dive right on in, I guess.
Yeah, whatever you're comfortable with. So you mentioned to me briefly that you struggled with cancer at an early age. You want to kind of dive into that and that experience for you?
Yeah. So I'll start off by kind of explaining what kind of cancer I had. I was diagnosed with stage 2 chondrosarcoma, which is a bone cancer. Sarcoma is generally bone. The chondrosarcoma is more of like a subcategory of that. So I was diagnosed at the age of 18. I was freshly out of high school. I was doing my first semester in college down in New Hampshire. I was 2.5 hours away from home. And that's when I was diagnosed. I started experiencing symptoms way before that while I was actually still in high school. Um, but yeah, that's kind of just like the brief gist of it. I've experienced it 4 times now at this point, but
Okay, so it kind of kept coming back about 4 times.
yeah, so my original symptoms started in the spring of 2015. I was experiencing a lot of hip pain. I was a two-sport athlete in high school, and I thought that I had just injured something. I thought I had like pulled a groin muscle, something along those lines. So I started going to physical therapy for it. And the physical therapy actually helped with the pain that I was experiencing. Um, that was, everything was great. I was discharged from physical therapy. I graduated high school and then I went down to New Hampshire to start college. Um, the pain started coming back. I was barely sleeping. I was in so much pain. Oh, I'm so sorry.
No worries.
My dog just jumped over the laptop.
Yeah, I get it. I got two dogs and a toddler, so
Yeah, so you're familiar. But yes,
so,
continuing on. So
yeah, and the pain started coming back and it was a lot more heavy. Obviously, I feel we don't automatically think, oh man, this pain is cancer. So it's like now you're
yeah,
having symptoms again and you're taking it a little bit more serious. Did you find out over in college? Where were you? You were in Boston?
I was in New Hampshire. I
Hampshire.
was like, yeah, like right on the New Hampshire, Massachusetts
Yep.
line. So I was about 2.5 hours away from home.
Okay.
So first experience away from home, first, experience as like a grown up.
Right,
I was
right.
starting to navigate my own life as an independent person.
Yeah. And then you get smacked
So
sideways with this. So
yeah.
I can imagine the fear of that.
Yeah, so Thanksgiving 2015, I came home for Thanksgiving break and I was in so much pain. My mom was like, "You need to go see a doctor." So I went to the doctor and he was like, "Well, let's get you an x-ray just to be safe." He said, "You got full range of motion. You've got, all the strength is there in your leg, but you're experiencing this pain. Let's get you an x-ray just to be safe." So we go in and we get the x-ray. I drive back down to school. It's Sunday, classes start up again tomorrow, Monday morning. Monday, I get a phone call. They're like, we found a mass. You
Mm.
need to come home. So that very real fear, like real guttural fear
Mm.
of like, what does that mean? Because all they told me on a voicemail, mind you, they
Oh,
told me this on a voicemail that we found a mass.
yeah.
So
So what
I
was
drive,
running through your head in that moment? I know you mentioned that guttural fear, but were you thinking the worst? Were you thinking hopeful? Like, what was your train of thought? Were you plummeting into fear, or were you trying to stay above that realization that something was found?
honestly, at that time, looking back at it now, I was so not there mentally.
You checked out.
I don't remember a lot of this. A lot of this beginning pieces of this story are like little flashbacks, like little blips of things that I remember, or they're things that other people have told me.
And you think that's because you were in like fight or flight mode? So you kind of just,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, you just blocked it out to
And
survive.
everything happened so fast.
Right.
I went home for Thanksgiving on Thursday, X-ray on Friday. I get this phone call Monday. Everything is happening so fast.
Yeah.
So I'm home on thir or Wednesday. I'm home. I get an MRI. I'm called into my doctor's office at 3:30 that afternoon, and she tells me I have cancer. She said, "You have a mass the size of a softball
Oh my goodness.
growing off of your pelvis."
And so educate me a little bit because as you're familiar, my mom is struggling with stage 3 breast and lymph cancer, but I know that bone cancer that can metastasize a lot quicker, right? Is that something that can just like go throughout all your bones or does it kind of stay in one spot?
So it kind of stays in one spot. So what happens is, so your cells mutate constantly all the time. Every single cell in your body, from your bones to your skin, constantly mutating. And it's a good thing that they do that. They're supposed to.
Mhm.
There, a problem lies when there's something wrong with that mutation, that the code inside that mutation is off.
Right. Okay.
And that's what kind of starts the tumor.
Mass. Right.
Yeah, the
Okay.
mass. With bone cancer, it kind of grows off of the bone and then like into that area. Now, depending on the subcategory of the bone cancer, it can spread quicker than others. Absolutely. Mine's kind of like a medium grade. Like it spreads fast, so we got to keep an eye on it.
Yeah.
Um, I got really, really lucky, and I'll kind of explain a little bit more later on with how I got really lucky, but with where mine was, it stayed pretty well contained.
Good. Okay.
So Wednesday, my doctor tells me that, but she goes, "We don't deal with that here. Like that, your case is far too complex. We are immediately sending you down to Boston." I had an appointment in Boston with my oncologist the next morning.
Wow.
Yeah. And if any of you possibly dealing with your mother, but any of your listeners as well that are kind of familiar with this, the more serious, if I always think of it like this, if I'm in my waiting room at my oncologist's office and I have to wait, I'm one of the lucky ones.
Right.
Have the pleasure of sitting in that waiting room and waiting for my appointment with him, I'm okay with that.
Yep.
Because when they rush you in like that, it's serious.
Yeah, and frightening, because you're knowing that something is needing to be acted upon fast and that yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, I have chills. Yeah.
Yeah. So I went from the Thursday of Thanksgiving, within a week later, I'm meeting my oncologist down in Boston.
So where's your mind at now? Because obviously, as you're displaying, everything was moving fast. They got you in their appointments fast. Normally people are waiting, weeks out for appointments because there's so many cases of things of this nature. But you're on it and they're having you in the next day. Boston's about what, 3 hours away from our home state, you know what I
Give or
mean?
take, yeah.
And so where's your mind going right now? You didn't have your wife at this time, right? You're a new adult. You're by yourself. You just got your family support.
Yeah, so and this is kind of like another great spin on things. At the same time, I had also recently come out of the closet.
Oh, wow.
Yep, right around that same time.
No way.
Yeah, so I was also navigating that piece of it as well.
Yep.
My brain was like, what the fuck?
Yep.
What the fuck is going on? I'm 18.
Yep.
Moved out of the house not even 6 months ago. It was insane. Like I can't in a way that I like to explain it is like it felt like the rest of the world was in like fast forward. Like everybody else was like going all around me. And my biggest concern was like at this point was my life.
Yep. Like, yeah,
Like what does this mean? We had no answers at that point until we kind of met with my oncologist. And then once we did, it was still kind of like,
a blur.
yeah,
Yeah.
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 So
How many answers can they still even give you at that point besides what you already know, which is
yeah,
that,
there's still a lot of questions at that point.
right. And that kind of bleeds into another question that I was curious, because I know this happens to all of us. I've been in situations like this, and it's just like, I think it's just part of our human design to think this way, even though, of course, we could argue there's always other things, there are always better things. But did your mind go, and you kind of briefed on it, but like in the place of like what is happening? Why is this happening to me? You know what I mean? What did I do, right? To have all
Mhm.
of this unfold. And when we think in that context and we look back, it's like, well, it almost is uncomfortable to think that we even think in that way because that's just the way the world works, but our minds naturally go into this place as if we're being targeted by the universe. So
Yeah,
did you feel that way? Like you were kind of being targeted by life? Like I just came out of the closet. I'm a brand new adult, adulting in my life. I'm trying to go to college and be something of some sort, a success or something. And now all of this is on my plate. Like, did you ask yourself, why is this happening to me?
I asked myself that. I asked the universe that. I
Yeah,
asked therapists that. I have asked so many people that question, and for a long time I was convinced that this was like karmic revenge from another lifetime that I had, done something in another lifetime and I'm paying for it now.
right. I know. I've been there. And from feeling that way, now where you're at now, can you see any value in what you went through? Given,
100%.
given the trauma, given the grief, given the fear, was there something of value that came out of it all? And can you elaborate on that a little bit? And then we'll go more into the story.
Yeah, that is such a bizarre feeling
Right.
to have some of the most traumatic experience of your life and to think of it in such a beautiful way because I would not have this beautiful, amazing life that I have today if I did not experience those
Really dark, horrible.
worst, dark, dark, dark days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's like crazy to think about. And it's also crazy, at the same time, like when all of the people I went to high school with were graduating college, and I was like,
Fighting for your life.
but yeah, like it was very confusing for me. But looking at it now, it's like, not that I'm grateful, but I'm grateful for the experience and I'm grateful for what it taught me. And I'm grateful for where I am now.
Right. And I like that you made that point because I think, a lot of times in like our healing journey, it's like, sometimes shitty things, there is no real reason for it. Like shitty things just happen and it sucks and it hurts and we grieve and we feel. And as long as we're feeling and grieving, then that's the only thing we're supposed to do. We're not supposed to try to figure out the meanings behind why all of this is unfolding because sometimes we just can't. But when we look at the outside, it's not so much we're grateful that it happened to us because we would have been really solid if we didn't have to face that trauma, but it's everything that came after it, whether it's our mental state shifting, like I don't know about you, but like, and I'm sure you can relate, but even in times of darkness and despair in my own life and facing life or death in different dimensions of the word, um, I now have a greater taste, a greater appreciation for life itself,
Hmm.
right? And now you can just like, you can wake up and we fall off track often, but you can wake up and like theoretically, but literally smell the roses a little deeper. It's a little richer, is it not?
Absolutely.
So, what do you think was one of the better, outcomes from this all happening? What was the big shift in your mental health or in your livelihood? Did you take care of yourself the extra? Did you open up? I know you're expanding and opening up about meeting your wife and all of this stuff. Like, did it just allow you to be more liberated in your life, or kind of what was the big shift for you from this experience mentally?
At first, so there were, I think, two shifts that happened. Like I said, I've gone through it 4 times now at this point.
Right.
The first, second, and third times were kind of pretty much back to back. It was like every 2 years I was being re-diagnosed. And I struggled a lot with that. And I struggled a lot with the idea of settling down and making long-term decisions.
Why? Because of fear of whether you were on the teeter of life or death, or
Yeah, because
yep,
why would I if I'm just gonna get re-diagnosed in 2 years?
right.
Have to move back home with my mom again because I had moved out so many times with that because I'm like, I'm an adult now, like I'm gonna move out. Little just to, get re-diagnosed and have to come back home.
Yeah.
So I had a really tough time with that at first. I was making more reckless decisions and thinking more short term, um, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. I think it's what I needed at the time.
Yep.
But over the years, my mentality has kind of shifted again. Like, yeah, life is short, but I can make something beautiful of the short time that I do have. And I started making those really big and really scary jumps as to, getting myself a nice car, move it, like getting myself like my own like serious place, like where I was on the lease and like I was like buying a couch. Like what?
Yeah.
And then like eventually finding my wife and getting married. Like I think that was the biggest, scariest piece of it all.
Yeah.
How do you settle down so permanently like this after being so scared for so long? And I think I had that second kind of shift and I was like, I'm grateful and I'm gonna make the best of the time that I do have. And yeah, it sucks, but you can have a great time while you do it. And you can, make plans and shit like you said, bad shit happens all the time.
Yeah.
Why am I gonna let that control my life?
Right. Getting back into the driver's seat of your life and actually, guiding it towards the happiness that you're craving, even if the outside noise is overpowering at times. But I do
Yeah,
think it's up to us to make the best of what we've got, is it not?
absolutely.
And so, how was your wife with all of this? I've seen little things online of you guys. You guys are beautiful.
Thank
But
you.
obviously, she has to know, that you've been diagnosed with this cancer, this serious cancer, multiple times. Like, how did she respond to that? How did you guys allow yourselves to fall into each other's arms? What did that look like?
Uh, Back when I was dating, when I thought something was gonna get serious, I made it very clear, this is my life.
Hmm.
I get scanned every at least 6 months,
Okay.
sometimes more frequently than that. Like this is my life. Um, and she was like, hell yeah. Like
Yeah.
she lost her sister, unfortunately, to cervical cancer a couple of years ago.
Okay.
So she is kind of familiar with this quote unquote lifestyle.
Yeah.
Um, and then the other piece of it that kind of helped us understand each other is she's sober. She is 5 years sober now. She struggled a lot with addiction throughout her life. And I think that kind of gave us both an understanding like her most important thing in her life is her sobriety, and the most important thing in my life is my health.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
health is not the same thing.
Yeah.
So it ended up like she and then her also having that experience with her sister, it really helped us understand each other and understand those hard feelings. And
And complicated
be,
moments, right?
yeah, but
Yeah,
being with somebody who didn't make those complicated moments uncomfortable,
right. Yep. Very
because
important.
she has experienced that before. And for those of us who have been in uncomfortable situations, we make jokes.
Yeah.
We heal through laughter.
Yes. Yes.
No, it's yeah, 'cause, being able to be with somebody who I can have a fun time with during uncomfortable and tough times, I think is really important for not just me, but for almost everybody, being able to find that person.
Yep. Do you think that opened up to be able to like attract her in or draw her into your life during these mental shifts that you were having? Like, you know what? I can make the most of this situation. Let me open up myself a bit more. Let me get my car. Let me buy this couch. Let me open myself to the potential of love. Did that kind of unfold during the same time of this mental realization and actualization that I don't have to stay in this in miserable, like in my miserality? Or is that even a word? In a state of miserableness?
Yeah.
Did it open up? Did you draw her in when that mind actualized that you have the choice to make what's best of now? Is that
I
around
think
the same
so. She was
time?
kind of like that last piece. I had gotten the car, I had moved out, I had made these big decisions and I was able to kind of find myself more. And I think that's kind of what,
Beautiful.
being able to process those things myself to then open myself and my emotions and my feelings up just to the idea of
Yeah.
So when I got lucky, I found someone pretty good.
Yeah. Well, that's a beautiful thing to hear that I got lucky given your whole story and situation to be able to
I
still
know.
feel that, you know what I mean? And that's
Yeah.
that's pretty amazing in itself. So, as you mentioned, you got diagnosed 4 times. If you don't mind me asking, when was the last time that you kind of had to battle this fear? And are you cancer free right now or
The kind of cancer I have, I am always kind of living with it. There's
okay,
always the possibility that it comes back. So, um, not necessarily remission, just kind of like we're just hanging out right now.
okay.
Everything's looking good.
Yeah. All right.
So
Okay.
the last time I dealt with it was September 2022.
Okay. So this is
So,
now for those listeners, whether later or forward, it's April 1st, 2025. So this is 22, 3, 4, 5. That's 3 years ago, last time.
yeah. Yep. So this is the longest stretch I have gone without any mass, anything that we are watching on a scan. We've always just been watching these little spots, waiting for them to grow. And this is the first time that we have not been watching anything, which comes with its own big emotions as well. Because now I'm kind of like, now what? Now
Right.
what do I do?
And so are you guys settled down in Maine? Did you stay local?
Yep, yep. I'm in South Portland. Um, I love it. I love it up here. I've got my family up here, which is really important, and she has an excellent like sober community up here as well.
Yeah, would be
So
hard to let go of all that given everything you both are kind of journeying through together. So, um, I had something in my mind that came forth and oh, yes. So, what's your now that you've been, stable in the sense of not watching anything on a scan for the next 3 years, and like you just mentioned, you're kind of like, what's next? What do you see for yourself? What do you want to be next? What are you, did you go to college still? Did you finish that up with all that chaos? Or are you kind of just like figuring yourself out again? Because your whole beginning of adulthood kind of was put on hold in a way.
yeah, I who knows what's next? And I think that's what's so beautiful about it. I just got a puppy, so
Yep.
like I'm like a brand new dog mom. So that's what's next is training that little guy. And I think maybe eventually we'd like to buy a house, but we're not pressed on that, especially with how expensive everything is right now. But yeah, I think that's what's so beautiful about life is who the fuck knows what's next. And like
Do you
we're
think
just
that you were able to accept that given the fact of everything that happened? Like, because I know for me personally, and I'm just stepping into this place right now as like I'm, doing these podcasts and I've been in South Carolina, kind of taking care of my mom, which I'm not sure how long we've been engaged online, but like I was living in Los Angeles for like almost a decade. I'm originally from Maine, just like you. I think that's how we originally got connected.
Hmm.
But I just finally am grasping, and I'm not even quite there yet. I think you're way further than me in this regard, but allowing it to just be point blank period. Like whatever is happening, like I'm a very high intense planner gal. Like I just like live by my book. I plan out my whole life. I have like my 5 year goals back there. And it's funny because, even I obviously I have not been through cancer, but just the things that I've gone through, I've always wanted to control my life. Like I've always wanted to make sure I get to this point and this point and this point. And every time I've done that, I've never had, oh, I got a little notice on my thing running out of time. Okay, I'm not sure
Oh,
when it'll end,
10,
but
mine says 10 minutes left.
10 minutes? Okay, we'll
Yeah.
give that 7, 10 minutes. Oh yeah, right here. Okay, I have to upgrade to the next one once I get going on these things. Sorry about it. So 45
No
minutes.
worries, no worries. I love being the guinea pig, so please, anytime.
Yeah, God bless you, Hannah. I swear to God. Anyway, what I was saying and make it short is that I had tried to plan everything, and I've gotten to this point in my life after everything that I've like also experienced, just like firsthand of all of my planning never going the way I ever wanted it to, because life does these things, right? And it just like whips us across sideways. We're stuck thinking, why us, or why is this happening, or what did I do last life? Like, forgive me of my sins. But then we come out of it in this place of like tranquility, or at least that's where I'm getting to. And it's just like, I don't need to know what's next. And I just need
Yeah,
to know what's right now. And am I safe right now? Not tomorrow. Yesterday doesn't exist anymore because it's gone. And so it's just like, what is right now? And I think that that realization definitely stems from overcoming childhood trauma or trauma in general. You know what I mean? It's just we don't need to know what happens 5 years from now because we have no real control. We can drive the boat, but there's going to be tidal waves and all of these things that
universe has so many plans.
exactly,
I
exactly.
think I think maybe change your wording on it. You don't have plans, you have goals.
Right.
I have goals that I would like to reach.
Yeah.
And who I could make those goals in 5 weeks, I could make them in 5 years. I'm not going to put a timeline on myself because who knows what the world's going to throw at me.
Right.
Would I like to get it done within a certain amount of time? Yeah, absolutely. That'd be great. But, I'm not going to sit here and let it,
Break you down that you're not getting.
yeah,
Yep.
let the guilt of it,
Yep.
like I need to have this done by 2027, you know, life happens. Who
Yep.
cares? There are so many worse things that could happen in your life besides just like, it's so funny when I see people getting upset over little things.
Yeah.
People get
That
so
changed.
angry at such
Right.
small things. Use your energy elsewhere.
Yes. Yes.
Like your energy is being wasted being angry at
Like
something so
people with
small.
road rage. I mean, it's just like, just enjoy the journey. What if you can't
Right.
sit in that car?
Who
Yeah.
gives a shit?
I know. You're absolutely right. And I think that is a common thing with people that have overcome, pretty horrific things. It's just like, it's the armor that becomes stronger, and that saying, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. I think like in the reality, it makes us a little bit more insane and beaten down, but at the same time, we have a different viewpoint of what is actually needing our energy. We got a flat tire on the side of the road. To some that haven't experienced anything worse than that, that's going to seem like their worst day.
Yeah.
But to somebody who overcame cancer or is overcoming cancer and is always there, that's going to be a walk in the park. You know what? I got to stop on the side of the road and look at my surroundings. That might be nice. Let me just get this up.
Yeah. Spend
Um,
a little time with myself.
yeah, exactly. Well,
Yeah.
anyway, we only got 6 minutes left, so I figure we'll make a decent exit point. But I wanted to thank
Absolutely.
you for your time,
Thank you.
sharing your story, your energy, your high vibration, and congratulations on 3 years without any problems right now.
Thank
And
you so much.
congratulations your beautiful wife and your guys's. marriage. That's really lovely, and I'm really happy you have that.
Thank you. Thank you
You're
so
welcome.
much.
So you're so welcome. You deserve it. So thank you again. And if you ever want to stay in touch, by all means, and we could do this again sometime, maybe or something.
Absolutely. I'd love to come
Love
back.
the
This is,
story, you know?
yeah, excellent. I'm really excited. So yeah, I'm always around and always willing to share my story and my vibes. So
It's a testimony, Mama. That's it's a powerful thing for some going through it. So really, I thank you for all of those that are struggling with it right now, because
yeah. Yeah, and just really quick, if anybody, has a loved one going through cancer, specifically bone cancer, please reach out to me. I am always happy to answer questions. Don't be scared to go get checked out. Feeling a little bit silly is always better than waiting too long.
yes. How would you suggest that they reach out if they have any questions or want, some sort of relatability? Do you have an Instagram that you'd
Yes, my Instagram will be the best way. It's Hannah L Gar, Gar 20. And yeah, just on Instagram, please reach out to me. Like I said, I love sharing my story, and check out sarcoma.org for more information on different types of bone cancers.
Thank you, Hannah. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you so much. I had such a great time. I really appreciate this.
Yes, me too. I'll catch you on the flip side. I'll let
All
you know when
right.
it's all up and posted and all that good stuff too.
Beautiful. I can't wait.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.